Straight ahead on 12 News, wedding woes. A Plymouth bridal store abruptly closes, leaving customers wondering about their dress purchase. Then, out of room. What Wayzata High School plans to do to make way for a growing number of students. But first, not the Crimson Way. Maple Grove High School officials discuss what's next after an off-the-ice incident led to 13 hockey player suspensions. 12 News starts right now. People are still talking about the unspecified incident that resulted in 13 players being suspended from the Maple Grove boys hockey team.
District 279 announced today that they are making changes after an investigation of an off-the-ice incident involving some members of the hockey team. And 12 News reporter Shannon Slatton explains what the changes are. Shannon?
A letter went out to families of Maple Grove senior high students today detailing the school's plan after an investigation into team members' behavior. The letter talks about a plan that requires changing culture.
While I can't give you details or confirm or deny any rumors you've heard about the incident that took place off campus and involved some members of the hockey team, I want to be clear that this behavior was unacceptable. In my 32 years of coaching boys and girls high school sports, this has by far been my worst experience.
The school's leaders say they are moving past this incident. They have created an action plan for developing positive leadership skills and a code of honor for all athletes, but specifically for the hockey team. The plan has 7 points and will include surveying students anonymously to see how well the program is working. The district does acknowledge this incident was devastating to not only the school's reputation, but to staff members as well.
Kids make dumb decisions sometimes, and the bottom line is we have to use it as a way to help teach them and prepare them for the future so they're not making similar same mistakes.
The school district says the investigation into the incident is complete, and the next step is to start working toward more positive leadership in student athletes. And Mike and Alex, this action plan is extremely vague so far, but the school says this is a starting point on where they can go from here.
You were at the news conference this afternoon. What did they say, if anything, about the investigation itself?
They still won't talk about it at all, citing data privacy laws, so we might not hear any more about it.
All right. Thank you very
Shannon.
much. Area brides are trying to figure out how to get their money back after a Plymouth bridal shop suddenly closed its doors. The bridal spot in the corner of Waterford Plaza in Plymouth is now completely empty. There's an eviction notice from Hennepin County on the door. Brides say the business closed without any notice and without providing the dresses or refunding deposits.
From what we're hearing from customers, it happened pretty suddenly, kind of one of those overnight things where the business just kind of was gone and the space was empty where they were. So it's, you know, right now some customers are out there kind of wondering, well, where does this leave me? And that's always an uncomfortable spot to be in.
The Better Business Bureau reported 3 complaints on file for the bridal spot. Since the inventory is gone, the BBB recommends that if customers cannot contact the owner, then they may have to consider legal action to recoup the lost money. Well, on dangerously cold days like today, it's hard to imagine having no place to call home.
But that is a reality for many young people in Hennepin County. The county is one of 9 sites in the country chosen by the federal government to conduct an in-depth survey of homeless youth under the age of 25. Hennepin County was selected because it has both a higher number of homeless youth and services to address the problem. The survey can help the government shape future policy and programming.
It isn't always the answer of more money. But I think an understanding that this population of young people that we're trying to survey, 18 to 24, is not a forgotten population. And that they really are worth trying to make a difference because they're at a crossroads in their life. And if we don't make that difference, they'll become long-term homeless, incarcerated, or dead.
The results of the homeless survey will be released this spring.
Over at the state capitol, a Brooklyn Park lawmaker is sponsoring legislation to address a common banking problem for the elderly. Representative Melissa Hortman's bill would allow a banking customer to name an agent for an account while maintaining sole ownership of the account. Such a move would make it easier for a relative or a friend to sign checks without actually giving that person a right to the money. Probate experts call it a very straightforward change, but a very important one for Minnesota law. And could a ticket raffle be a solution to help close a Vikings stadium funding gap? Representative Ryan Winkler of Golden Valley says it could be a popular moneymaker. Right now, electronic pull tabs aren't pulling in the money that was originally projected to cover the state's share of the stadium costs, so lawmakers are looking at alternative funding sources. The ticket raffle idea would only occur if there are changes to the Vikings stadium funding law. However, Representative Winkler does not believe the Vikings would support a ticket raffle. The Wayzata School District is one of the most sought-after public school districts in the state.
The Wayzata District is already making changes to accommodate the growth in enrollments in its elementary and middle school, and now it's time to look at the high school, where an expansion may be in the future.
Okay, number 6.
Wayzata High School has a math problem on its hands.
This is like the what kind of problem?
It's a numbers problem found just outside the school where new housing developments are adding up, and projections show more than 1,300 new homes will be built in the next 4 years. That'll deliver 500 additional students to the high school, where they're already operating at capacity with more than 3,200 students.
We're going to be bigger next year, and then we start growing by hundreds after that. So we're going to top out somewhere around 3,700 4 or 5 years down the road.
The high school needs to expand to make room for those 500 extra students, and planning for the future needs to happen now.
We're pretty limited in where we can expand, so we would probably expand directly with an addition to the high school itself. But then we would need to replace any parking lots or open green spaces that would be consumed with that expansion.
The proposed expansion would require the additional purchase of land to the west of the high school that could include a portion of the Elm Creek Golf Course.
Currently, that land is under option by a developer, and so we've been working closely with city officials, with the city of Plymouth, and with the developer to at least express a potential interest in acquiring additional land for the high school campus.
The land purchase would likely cost the district more than $1 million. It still needs approval from the Minnesota Department of Education in order to go forward. Back at the high school, overcrowding is bound to be an issue in the years ahead.
How many terms will there be in the expansion of that?
District officials just hope a speedy solution prevents any problem.
Everybody's doing the right things. I just hope it all falls in place and it's ready to go in 2 or 3 years.
If the school district gets approval from the State Department of Education, it can proceed with a land purchase. Expanding the high school, however, would require voter approval. Still ahead, we are headed to Champlin Park High School to meet this week's standout student.
Standout student indeed. She's already a published author. And then later in sports, an Osseo football standout who is one of the state's best makes his college choice.
But first, it's a look at your AccuWeather forecast. Most 17-year-old students are content with simply completing all of the work on their syllabus and earning good grades.
But today's standout student from Champlin Park High School has gone above and beyond what's expected in the classroom. As Delane Cleveland reports, she's used her love of writing to introduce people to her native country halfway around the world.
How many of you believe that Daisy is who she seems?
High school classrooms can serve as a forum for intellectual discussions.
Especially when she talks about being the beautiful fool.
The topic in this class centers around The Great Gatsby.
Because she's of a lower social class.
It's no surprise to hear Tori Odiambo check in. That's because this Champlin Park junior knows a few things about books.
Step by step, giraffes take their time and don't rush.
One of her goals in life was to get a book published before her 17th birthday.
As they roam on the savannah, giraffes enjoy their day.
And after a process that took nearly 2 years,
on this page, I took a picture of an elephant, a mother elephant, and the baby elephant under it.
She achieved that goal with close to home, the African savannah.
Well, the reaction I get is like, wow, you published a book? I haven't even done anything.
The book documents Tori's experience of traveling to her native Kenya in 2010 for a family reunion.
I really felt connected to my roots.
It features photos of animals in their natural habitat.
The grass is plenty, and so are the trees.
And poems about each animal she encountered.
Well, one of the themes that are present in my book is the diversity of wildlife. And so that can be applied to today's society because, you know, we have people from different cultures, different backgrounds, yet we can still like learn to coexist.
Talk to Tori's teachers,
I would say that is definitely something that goes above and beyond.
and they'll say that her book doesn't come as any surprise.
Many of my students are highly successful in the classroom. They follow the syllabus. Very clearly. But then every once in a while we have students who, what I like to say, write their own syllabus.
In other words, they create their own journey to academic success, which is exactly what Tori did with this book.
This is just the start of my writing career.
First, though, she still needs to worry about one more year of high school.
We definitely have more reasoning power.
Delane Cleveland, 12 News.
Tori still hasn't decided on a college, but she said she plans to study medicine and become a doctor. Meantime, you can find her book on Amazon or barnesandnoble.com. And in high school, we were reading books,
right.
not writing them.
Her first, but probably not her last
Yeah,
book, too,
probably
it sounds
not.
like.
Coming up, a retired Robbinsdale school teacher in the same company as Prince and Bob Dylan.
You'll meet the Champlin man who's now part of an exclusive club. But first in sports, it's a cold time to be out on the lake, but Terry Tuma has some tips to reel in a big catch. John Jacobson has that and more when we come back.
Well, there's a student athlete who had a very exciting day today, and you know, this guy's a pretty good catch for any college, I would think.
Always a relief to make that decision,
right,
too, for those athletes.
So it's a sign to make it official, but yeah, he had to pick a school, and now he's ready to go for football for college. A two-sport prep standout from the area is ready for the next step in his athletic career. Osseo High School senior Bridge Tusler has accepted a full scholarship to play football at the University of Northern Iowa. Tusler was Osseo's most dynamic offensive weapon this fall. Whether a running back, receiver, throwing the football, or on special teams, Tusler tore up opposing defenses. His first choice for college was the U of M. When the Gophers didn't offer a scholarship, he chose UNI.
How they wanted to win was a different feeling than everybody else. There's a bunch of different approaches in recruiting. I felt at home with UNI. People ask me, like, did the people there, change it? I would say, yeah, they helped. And just kind of the fact, I would love to go to the U, and it got to the point where I just heard from them, walk on, and I can't give up a free opportunity.
Tusler won the Mr. Football Award for 2012 and was also the Star Tribune, Associated Press, and Gatorade Minnesota Player of the Year. At Northern Iowa, Tusler will likely play in the secondary, and as a kick returner, he plans to major in sports management. He has a 3.5 grade point average and is currently the starting point guard for the 4th-ranked Osseo basketball team. An 0-3 start seems like a long time ago now for the Park Center girls basketball team. The Pirates are on a good roll as we near the end of January. The Pirates have won 5 straight and 8 of their past 9 games after a win over Champlin Park Tuesday. They definitely feel the team has grown after somewhat of a slow start.
First of all, it's just we've been playing so much more as a team. We've been passing well, we've been shooting well. Before we were kind of like off on our shots, and we're starting to get a little bit more warmed up, and playing with each other has just been, it's been more fun.
We still hit our ups and downs, we still hit our inconsistencies, but we're starting to play with more confidence, we're starting to play with more intensity, and I believe everybody on the team is just starting to believe in each other a whole lot more right now.
Park Center tied for 3rd in the Northwest Suburban Conference last winter, and they're currently 4th behind co-leaders Maple Grove, Osseo, and Centennial. It's fun to be in league with a lot of quality teams that are capable of beating each other.
Yeah, definitely. We have so many good teams in our conference, and there's not like there's just one team that's like the best. Everyone's beating everyone, and it's just really good competition.
It's good to play against harder teams. It gets us ready for sections. So when we play DSL, they're always a hard team, so it gets us ready for them.
Park Center is at Maple Grove in a key game Friday. The top-ranked Park Center boys host Maple Grove. Members of Park Center's last #1 team, the 90-91 squad, will be on hand for a reunion and to honor this year's team. What's the best way to hook walleyes during ice fishing season? We asked pro angler Terry Tuma that on a recent misty day at the lake for this week's Channel 12 ice fishing tip.
A great way to catch reluctant walleyes is to go out and drill 2 holes, which we already are probably going to do, but we have this tendency to fall in this trap. We just can't get them to go and so forth. Now, over the years, what has worked very well for myself is cut 1 hole and then set it up with the bobber system, and then you can use a colored hook and a bead if you so desire, and set that as a dead stick rod. In the other hole, not very far away, you want to use a jig, like a vertical jigging spoon or a jig, and jig very, very, shall we say, violently or abruptly. A lot of jigging action. So what now happens is that you're going to bring that walleye up to and get interested in this bait that you're using, this lure and this bait, maybe a minnow head on the jig or vertical jigging spoon, and they're not going to really bite it, but you might stir up their curiosity, and they're going to see this fathead or this shiner off this dead stick rod, and now they're going to take a look at it, they're going to smell it, they're going to taste it, they're going to see it, and you're going to catch that fish. But just a little bit of an inside tip on how to catch reluctant walleyes, utilizing a jig as an attractor or a vertical jigging spoon, and then this becomes your main tool. Be sure to tune next week for another ice fishing tip right here. Have a great week on the ice.
It was cold week on the ice. Yeah, thanks, Terry. We'll see you again next week.
Thanks a lot, John. Talk about striking the right note.
Up next, the Champlin man who's now in elite music company. We'll be right back.
A longtime music teacher in the Robbinsdale School District is now a member of the Minnesota Music Hall of Fame.
That's Leonard Skeets Langley, and he's played his accordion all over the world since becoming a professional musician at the age of 12. He taught elementary band in the Robbinsdale School District for 33 years, and in that time, he figures he's taught more than 20,000 students how to play an instrument. He says he started taking music lessons at a young age because his parents noticed that he had rhythm.
There wasn't really anything for a young person to do in those days. No pee-wee hockey or pee-wee baseball so they took me at age 6 to get accordion lessons because they had gone to school with a man who owned an accordion studio, and that started the whole thing.
Langley joined some big names in the Minnesota Music Hall of Fame, like Prince, Judy Garland, and Bob Dylan are also members. By the way, Langley is playing tonight at Osseo High School Auditorium starting at 7 o'clock, so good for him.
Absolutely.
That'll do it for now. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone.
Community Corner is coming up next, but first we leave you with more music from Skeets Langley. Enjoy.